Welcome to the Hasmate Health and Safety Management Program. This program has been designed to be flexible for any size business in any industry or service sector. Once you have set up the controls and master files for your business, the next thing you should be adding is employee information. To do this, click on Employees on the navigation. Every module in Hasmate has a search system at the top, which is particularly useful when you have lots of data in the program. To add a new employee, click the Add button on the right-hand side of the screen. The screen you'll see has many fields that you can fill in about an employee. The more information you add for an employee, the better information and reporting you'll get from the Hasmate program. Many fields are self-explanatory. However, I'll now take you through a few fields that you may have questions about. Employee number is not always used in businesses, but this could be their payroll number, for example. Gender, job title, reports to, and employment status are all master files. If there is nothing showing in these drop-downs, please go to Master Files to set these up. In my example, you'll see I have a field called Branch and one called Department. Depending on how you've set up your business levels, you may have only one field, or you may have 2 or 3. They will be named dependent on what you named your business levels in controls. If there's nothing in each of these drop-downs, then you'll need to set up your data for each business level. This is done by going to Master Files in the navigation, and then click on Business Levels. It is important that each employee is connected to one of your options for Business Level 1, or whatever you've named this. If your employee is involved in many parts of the business, then you may need to set up a All option for Business Level 1. The fields Police Check, Employment Agreement, Pre-Employee Medical, Security Clearance, and NZ Permit to Work may not be appropriate for your business. By default, these will already be showing as No. If you use the Work Permit Expiry Date, Next Review Date, Firearms License Expiry Date, or Driver's License Expiry Date fields, these will appear as alerts as it gets closer to these expiry dates. If you choose a date for employment end date, this will make the employee inactive. If an employee has left the business, you should still leave them in the Hasmate program, as they may be connected to some of the hazards, incidents, or assets in the system. If the employee then returns to work, you could remove this date and make a note about their new employment in the additional information box. Once you have filled in as many fields as possible or appropriate, scroll up the page and click Save on the top right-hand side. You'll now have room to add information about training, PPE items supplied to the employee, any additional information, and also room to upload images and documents. To add training to an employee, click the Add Training button. The module drop-down is populated by training modules already set up in the training part of the Hasmate program. The result and provider fields are master files. If there is nothing showing in these drop-downs, please go to Master Files to set these up. If you use the expiry date and next review date fields, this will appear as alerts as it gets closer to these expiry dates. It's not necessary to use both these fields unless it's a training module that requires booking far in advance. When you have finished adding in information, click the Save button, and this will return you to the rest of your employee information. To add a PPE item to an employee, click the Add PPE button. The PPE item drop-down is a master file. If there is nothing showing in this drop-down, please go to Master Files to set these up. The Purchase From drop-down is populated by contractors and suppliers already set up in the contractors part of the Hasmate program. The item size and cost fields makes purchasing replacement PPE items easier and is great for cost comparison if you use a different supplier for purchasing next time. If you use the expiry date and next review date fields, these will appear as alerts as it gets closer to these expiry dates. It is not necessary to use both these fields unless it's a PPE item that requires pre-ordering far in advance. When you have finished adding in information, click the Save button, and this will return you to the rest of your employee information. Additional information is for employee information that must be kept private. Some examples may be drug test results, a medical issue, a hearing or eye test, or a disciplinary action. To add an additional information item to an employee, click the Add Additional Information button. The type drop-down is a master file. If there is nothing showing in this drop-down, please go to the Master Files to set these up. If you use the next review date field, this will appear as an alert as it gets closer to this expiry date. When you have finished adding in information, click the Save button and this will return you to the rest of your employee information. Any incidents or hazards connected to this employee will show on this screen and can be clicked on to show more detail. It is possible to upload one or more images for an employee. This is very useful for identifying seasonal workers or other workers that you don't see very often. To do this, click Add Image, click Browse and select the image file on your computer and click Open. This will now upload to your Hasmate program. You can then choose this image to appear on the employee's profile report and then make any comments about the image. These comments will appear on the profile report as well. Once you've done this, click Save. It is possible to upload one or more documents to an employee. This could be a scanned employment agreement, a doctor certificate, training certificates, or any other relevant documents. To do this, click Add Attachment, then click Browse, and select the file on your computer and click Open. This will now upload to your Hasmate program. You can make any comments about the document. Once you've done this, click Save. Once you've added all information in about an employee, flip the page and click the Profile button at the top right. This will open a new window or tab on your computer and will display a printable profile of the employee with all the information you have added into the Hasmate system about them. As all employees are entitled to know what information you have recorded about them, these profiles are a great way of showing them. It also pays to print off a profile for each employee each year and checking that the information is still correct. These are also great for printing off for employment reviews. For further assistance or if you require training on the Hasmate program, please contact Hasmate on 0800 Hasmate or 0800 427 6283.